It began with a silence so thick it swallowed the sound of 1,000 hearts beating. The Vatican's apostolic palace was filled with dignitaries, journalists, and a few lucky civilians, all drawn together by something no one could quite put into words. Perhaps it was history. Perhaps it was faith. Or maybe it was simply the mystery of what would happen when two of the world's most powerful symbols, faith and future, met under the same sacred ceiling. The moment Pope Leo stepped into the room, the crowd fell still. His presence was quiet but arresting, like a candle in a pitch-black cave. A man in his early 80s, he carried the kind of wisdom that only decades of quiet prayer and unimaginable responsibility could bring. His eyes, gentle and sunken, surveyed the crowd with kindness, but it was clear he was searching for someone, and that someone was her. Kennedy Vale stood near the back, half shadowed by a marble pillar, her hands nervously clasped in front of her. She was not royalty. She was not rich. She was not even religious in the traditional sense. But she had done something the world hadn't seen in a long time. She'd spoken up with honesty and love in an age consumed by cynicism. 2 weeks prior, Kennedy, a 28-year-old schoolteacher from Boston, had gone viral after posting a video of herself speaking to her 5th grade class about grief. Her student, Marco, had lost his father unexpectedly. Instead of pushing forward with the day's math lesson, Kennedy had sat beside him, wrapped him in an arm, and said, "Pain is not a punishment. It's proof you loved deeply." Someone had recorded the moment. The video shattered expectations and viewership records. The internet, so often a place of sarcasm and noise, had gone quiet in reverence. When the Vatican extended a private invitation for her to attend the International Summit on Compassion, she thought it was a mistake. She nearly didn't go. But her mother convinced her. "The world is changing," her mother had said. "Maybe you're part of how it changes." And now, standing in the same room as the Pope, Kennedy felt like an imposter. Around her were policymakers, archbishops, philosophers. What was she doing here? Pope Leo began to speak. "This room," he said, voice clear though his tone remained soft, "is full of power. Political power, economic power, spiritual power. But let us not forget the greatest power of all. The courage to comfort." He paused and turned toward Kennedy. Cameras tilted, a few gasps escaped the crowd. He walked slowly toward her, and the sea of people parted as though guided by invisible hands. When he reached her, he extended his hand and simply said, "Thank you for reminding the world what it means to be human." And then, in a moment no one could have predicted, Pope Leo blessed the room, not the room of marble and frescoes, but the room of human connection that Kennedy had opened with her words. He bowed his head slightly, whispered a prayer in Latin, and gently placed his hand over Kennedy's. The room seemed to exhale. Then came the moment that would light up every corner of the internet. Kennedy stepped forward, eyes wide but steady, and said, "Your Holiness, I'm honored. But I must tell you something. My compassion didn't come from greatness. It came from brokenness." The room went still again. Even the camera shutters paused. "My father was a janitor," she continued, her voice trembling but unwavering. "He worked nights, slept days, and still found time to read to me every evening. He died when I was 14, and on the day of his funeral, I promised I would never let pain make me hard. I promised I would always choose kindness, even when it hurt. That moment with Marco, it wasn't my strength, it was his." There was a moment of silence that carried more weight than applause ever could. And then Pope Leo, still holding her hand, smiled. "And that," he said, "is why the world still has hope." The moment exploded online within minutes. Clips of Kennedy's words were translated into dozens of languages. Young people who had grown tired of empty influences suddenly found a new kind of hero, one who didn't sell products, but reminded them of their own humanity. News anchors wept openly on air. Schools began showing the video as part of their emotional education programs. Politicians, for once, refrained from twisting the moment for their own gain. But for Kennedy, the moment wasn't about virality. Back home in Boston, she returned to her classroom. She taught math. She wiped chalk. Dust from her sleeves. She checked on Marco during lunch. When reporters called, she often declined. She wasn't chasing a spotlight. She was trying to be the kind of light her father had once been to her. Still, something had shifted. Not just in Kennedy, but in the world. A few weeks later, she received a letter, handwritten, in ink, that danced delicately across the page. It read, "Dear Miss Vale, thank you for proving that tenderness is still louder than thunder, and that even in our loudest, angriest hour, it is the quiet voices of love that echo the longest. You have reminded me why I pray. In deepest gratitude, Leo." The story of Pope Leo and Kennedy Vale would be told for years, not because of a blessing or a viral video, but because it offered something dangerously rare, a reminder that greatness is not born in marble halls, but in the small, unseen acts of compassion that live inside each of us. And when a humble teacher met a holy man, the world remembered, if only for a moment, that kindness is not weakness. It is our only real power.